So today is an interesting story I just learned about. I just learned about this story. I learned about this story just recently, and thought I'd put my 2 cents in about what happened. Um, you know, um, I'm not sure if this is correct. I don't know if everything I'm saying is true. I have to research more, and I have to try to learn the facts. But as we all know, there was a guy who was killed in Minneapolis. Was it? I think by ICE. Now, before I made this, before I made this video, I tried to get all the facts. I tried to do research as I could. I tried to ask around about it. I tried to look at different news sources. I tried getting the facts to see what happened. I don't know if everything I'm saying is correct. It could be wrong. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong, if the story's wrong. But according to my sources, according to what I've seen, the man in particular did not technically do anything illegal. I struggle to understand what crime particularly was committed in this scenario because, the woman in this scenario didn't technically do anything illegal. I mean, she protested. Yeah, I understand, but that's not illegal. Protesting is not a crime. In fact, it's a First Amendment protected right. So I struggle to understand, in particular, what crime was committed by her. As I said, I would have understood if, I would have understood if, she had committed a crime. I would have understood if she had, perhaps done something. But to my knowledge, as far as I know, I could be wrong. As far as I know, according to my sources, according to what I've read, according to what I've seen, according to what I've heard, I could be wrong. But I believe she didn't do technically anything illegal. As far as I know, as far as to my knowledge, she didn't do anything illegal. And she was protesting, but that's not illegal. And, blowing whistles is not illegal. That's not illegal. Nothing she did was technically illegal. So ICE had no right to tackle her. I don't know what, was going through the man's head. I don't know what, he knew about this situation that was going on. I don't know if he knew what was happening. I don't know if he was aware of what was happening. But, he did have a gun on him. And I understand that, this could be seen as threatening. Now, according to my knowledge, according to what I know, the man had a permit. It was a legal carry. To my knowledge, to what I know, it was a legal carry. So he didn't commit any crime. I mean, I don't think he should have brought the gun to the protest. I'm not saying he should have done that. He shouldn't have. He shouldn't have done that. That wasn't smart of him. But to my knowledge, to what I know, it wasn't illegal. Because he had a permit, he had all the right paperwork and everything, and he had the right under the Second Amendment to carry the gun. So he didn't commit a crime there. Now he brought the gun to the protest. Not saying he should have done that. He shouldn't have done that. He should have left his gun at home. I don't know why he was trying to bring a gun to a protest. I don't know what his intentions were. But anyway, he brought the gun to a protest, and he saw this lady getting knocked down by ICE. I'm not sure if she committed a crime. I could be wrong. To my knowledge, she didn't. I don't think she committed a crime. I don't believe she committed a crime. I mean, if she was just protesting, that's not a crime. If she's a U.S. citizen, that's not a crime either. So no crime was committed. I could be wrong, but, as far as I know, she didn't commit a crime. I mean, I don't think I'm wrong. I think that I'm right, but maybe I'm not informed fully on this. I just learned about the situation. I tried researching as much as I could about it. I tried to, learn as much as I could about it as soon as possible. To my knowledge, to what I know, to what I've read, heard, seen, she did not commit any crime. And this guy protested. This guy who I guess she was protesting. I guess that's what she was doing, which isn't a crime because it's protected by the First Amendment right. But I think she was protesting. I believe she was. And that's when ICE tackled her, which would be immediately a violation of the First Amendment right. That is an immediate violation of the First Amendment. ICE cannot do that. ICE cannot, ICE cannot, arrest you for protesting. That's a First Amendment violation of the First Amendment right. But anyway, ICE tackled him, and the guy got involved and tried to help her. I don't know if he was just trying to be a good Samaritan. I don't know if he was just doing the right thing in his mind. I don't know what he was thinking, but he decided to help the lady. I saw him as a threat. They saw his gun. Now, I understand that when they saw his gun, that, I understand that could have been seen as a threat. I can understand that part. Now, I can understand, yeah, if cops see someone with a gun, they'll, ask them to take the gun away or whatever because they'll see it as a threat. I understand. That part I'm not going to argue with. The part I will argue with, what I don't understand, is once they took the gun away from him, why did they shoot him? I mean, I understand why they took the gun away from him because he could have been seen as a threat. I understand that was fine, but why did they need to shoot him after they took the gun away? He wasn't a threat once the gun was taken away, and he didn't try anything. He wasn't, he didn't try to take the gun out. He wasn't trying to, wave it around. He wasn't pointing at anybody, as far as I know. He wasn't pointing at anybody. He wasn't holding it. He wasn't touching it. He wasn't, doing anything where he was touching it, holding it, grabbing it, moving it, pointing it, grabbing it, and he didn't try to grab the gun or be aggressive at all with the cops. He was compliant as far as we know, but he still got shot anyway. I mean, that's technically illegal. The only crime committed was by ICE, by murdering an innocent man. But I could be wrong about what happened. Maybe I'm misinformed, and maybe I don't know fully what happened. But according to what I've learned, heard, seen, he didn't commit a crime. I mean, I'm struggling to understand what crime was committed particularly. If the woman had committed a crime, say slapped the ICE officer, I would understand. I would say, okay, I understand what crime was committed and what happened. I understand, why she was tackled. I understand that. But if that's not what happened, then what did happen? What crime was particularly committed by the officer to warrant them tackling her? Right? And I don't know why the guy got involved. Maybe he didn't know what happened. Maybe he wasn't aware of what happened, and he just thought he was being a good person. The cops mistaken his intentions. Saw the gun, freaked out. Okay, I can understand that. And I can understand. But it doesn't. It's hard to understand shooting him after you took his gun away from him. And when he wasn't doing anything with the gun illegal, other than having it on his person. Mind you, I should say that. He didn't do anything illegal with the gun other than have it on his person, which is not a crime. He had the warrant, he had all the paperwork. It was totally legal carry in the state. I don't know gun laws, but I do know that according to what I've heard, he did have legal, he had a warrant, he had paperwork, he had everything. He was legally carrying. So that's not a crime. Having the gun on him was not a crime. I understand why they took the gun away from him. I understand for safety reasons. I am not arguing that that's wrong. I'm not arguing I understand. I can understand. I can understand that. That part I can understand. I understand, the cops wanted to be safe. They wanted to take the precautions, of course. I understand that they needed to take the precautions. I understand that it's for the officer's safety. I understand that they didn't know the intentions of the person. And I understand that they did what they felt they needed to do to be safe. But I struggle to understand why they needed to shoot him after they took the gun away. Because he was not a threat to the officers once they took the gun away. So why did they need to shoot him? He didn't try to grab for the gun. He didn't do anything like that. He didn't try to act violently. He wasn't grabbing them. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything illegal. So why did they shoot him? This is cold-blooded murder. That's my opinion of the situation. This is technically a case of cold-blooded murder by the authorities in this situation. According to what I know, according to what I read, I've heard, I've seen, I could be absolutely misinformed about what happened. I suppose I don't know if I'm right or wrong, But what I heard and what I've seen on the news lately is that this man who, went to the aid of a woman who did nothing illegal, committed no crime, was, this lady committed no crime. She didn't do anything illegal. She was a U.S. citizen. All she did was protesting. That's not a legal crime. That's not a crime at all. Um, there's nothing illegal about protesting, right? And this man had a gun on him legally had a gun on him. Had the warrant, had the paperwork, had everything, had the gun on him legally. Everything was legal, right? Everything was legal. So he came to the aid of the woman. Not sure why he did that. I don't know why he felt he needed to. I don't know if he decided that he wanted to help her, or felt good Samaritan. I don't know, what, but he helped the lady, and so the cops saw him as a threat. Okay, I suppose I can understand. So the gun, okay, I guess they could see that as a threat and understand. But he didn't grab it. He didn't try to grab it. He didn't try to use it. So why was he a threat? I would understand if he grabbed the gun and tried to shoot the officers. I could understand that would be a threat. I could understand the use of force in that situation. I would say, okay, yes, I can understand the use of force in that situation, but that's not what happened. He didn't try to grab the gun. He didn't try to use the gun. He didn't try to do anything with the gun. He didn't touch the gun. And the officers took the gun away. Okay, I can understand precautions. I can understand maybe because the officers wanted to be safe. I just didn't want him to use the gun, or they didn't know if he would use the gun. They're just being safe because they don't know him and don't know what was going to happen. Okay, I understand that situation. I can understand, that part. What I don't understand, what I struggle with understanding here, is why shoot him after the gun was taken. That part I struggle to understand. Maybe I'm wrong about this. But there's no necessity to shoot him after the gun was taken. Unless, he tried to grab the gun back, which he didn't. There was no necessity for him to grab there would be no necessity to shoot him. So why shoot him after he's unarmed? I mean, he was unarmed at that point. They took the gun away from him, then they shot him. He was unarmed by the time he was shot. So my question is, why shoot him if he's unarmed? They didn't shoot him until after the gun was taken. The officer took the gun away from his holster, which I can understand why they did that. I'm not arguing that that's wrong. I can understand for safety reasons. I can understand they don't know him. They don't know what he's going to do. They don't know his intentions. But he's not wrong. He didn't do anything. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't starting anything. He was just at a protest. Should he have brought the gun to the protest? Probably not. Bad idea. But should they have shot him? No. That's not okay. What I did was not okay. It was illegal. And that's my take on it. I mean, I don't, know if I don't know if this is everything that happened, if there's more. I don't know if there's something in particular the lady did to warrant the response. I don't know if she did something. According to my knowledge, she didn't, as far as I know. But I could be wrong, and I might be wrong about it. But to my knowledge, she didn't do anything illegal. And she was protesting, which is not a crime. It's not illegal. There's no, crime for protesting. But she was still tackled by ICE anyway. And when a good Samaritan decided to help her, they decided to shoot him for it, which is what the story sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what the story sounds like. Which in the case is cold-blooded murder by ICE. And a criminal offense, the only criminal in this case would be the ICE officers who shot an innocent person for helping a good Samaritan. A good Samaritan being shot for helping a person in need, which is the most evil thing that I could ever hear of. I mean, ICE punishing people for doing the right thing is just evil. Just evil, evil, evil behavior. And it's wrong and it's evil. And I don't know what's going on in the politics of America today. It feels like America's becoming more fascist. I could be wrong about that, but in my opinion, it just seems like totalitarianism is in, and America's becoming a totalitarian nation. I hope America doesn't end up that way, but anyway, the video's over, so that's my